my series on postgraduate academic writing. Many students, master's degree students and PhD students, sometimes even first degree students, may find some level of difficulty in writing up their thesis. And as I've explained in previous videos, some of the causes, and the main cause in my view is that education up until the level of research is largely mnemonic. Maybe not 100% everywhere, but largely mnemonic. You're given some information from your teacher, your lecturer, at the primary, secondary, first degree level, and you have to memorize it, understand the systems, understand the basic information. That is your job, your responsibility as a student at that level. But that kind of mnemonic approach, as we've discussed, does not prepare you to do research work. And so it comes as a little bit of a shock for some students when they have to do research work. As in your thesis writing for your master's degree or your PhD degree. And so because we have trained you for 15, 20 years in mnemonics, in remembering things, we have clapped for you, given you stars, and your parents have bought you gifts because you are a good memorizer. And we've encouraged a system of memorization and regurgitation. And now you're in a different system. It is being translated from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of light. It is quite radical. And though we make an attempt to graduate the kind of research ability so that you may have a little bit of time to do research in your first degree, a little bit more time to do research in your second degree, perhaps 3 months MBA. If it's an MPhil degree, you may have a whole year. And some PhDs are pure research, so that's 4 years of pure research. So although you may have we may have a graduated approach, a step-by-step approach, it's still quite a huge step for the especially the master's students. Say you've spent 1 year doing your mnemonics and regurgitative studies, and then suddenly you are expected to switch over to become an ace researcher. Just put your 15, 20 years of mnemonics away and suddenly become an ace researcher. It doesn't happen. And in my view, I suggest that we should start research we should simply continue the natural process of research, because as I've said repeatedly, everyone is born a researcher, especially in this internet age. So what I'd like to look at briefly in this video is how to carve out for yourself a good research gap. And as I've said in previous videos, it seems to be a scarlet pimpernel. It seems to be an elusive element. You know, you have students writing thesis all over the place, and in my personal experience as well as other experiences, when you ask them what the research gap is, you usually have a very loud silence. So basically, research gap is what scholars have not said. So the whole concept of your thesis can be summarized in one word: new. And this is problematic because for 20 years you have been in the kingdom of old stuff, well-attested stuff, well-researched stuff. And you've grown accustomed to it. It might be boring, but you've grown accustomed to it. The geography of the world is the geography of the world. You're taught it. The biology is biology. Research over many years, decades, centuries, you're taught what is known. You live in the world of the known, and then suddenly you are transported into a different world in which you are supposed to tell us something unknown. And so the two kingdoms are totally different. This is something that as a master's degree student, as a PhD student, first degree student writing your project work, you must understand, and it is in your interest to begin early, because the paradigm shift is not easy. Many do not complete. There are many people walking around who started their PhDs, they haven't completed. There are many people who started their master's degrees, they haven't completed. The third course section, they did it okay. But when it came to research, and I don't blame them, I do not blame the system either. All I'm saying is that this is what we have, and I'm trying for us to explore new ways so that we don't get that shock in the system, or the change from taught courses to research work. So it's one of the key points. Many students begin writing their thesis, master's degree thesis, PhD thesis, without really asking what is required. Many times I liken thesis writing to a relationship, to marriage, for example. Now science has suggested that the female eye is more sensitive to color, and the male eye is more sensitive to movement. So when the husband wants to surprise his wife, he buys, maybe he knows she likes the color light green, so he buys a light green dress, a light green jumper. And the very first question that he's greeted with is, how much did you buy it for? Where did you get it? The reception is part of the on-the-job training. Sometimes one needs some on-the-job training. But biologically, if her sensitivity to color is higher than yours, it means that she's very specific as to the specific type of color that she likes. And now you, with your less sensitive to color eye, think all green is green, and so you buy out, light green is light green, and you just buy, and you expect to be praised for it, not knowing that there's a specific shade of light green that is light green. You see. And so it's the same situation with the thesis. So what the husband has to do, or the wife has to do, is to first of all check up what the other spouse wants. And this is I'll come to relationships in other videos, but this is one of the key elements, which is both hilarious and very serious, that based on the framework of one gender, they try to please them based on their own framework, which can, in extreme cases, even cause irritation. You were out to surprise her, to buy her something you thought she'd be happy, and she's frustrated, and now you are frustrated because you don't understand the differences. Okay, so that's for another video, but it's an illustration to find out first the expectations of the receiver, and this is precisely the mistake that many masters and PhD students make. Before you write your very first word, you must find out what the expectations of your examiner is. Now, I love basics. I always talk about basics, and many times we just like to remind ourselves that the word basic comes from the Greek basis, which is foot. So we have a saying that a person doesn't have a leg to stand on, or in this case, a foot to stand on. You don't have a good basis. You don't have the basics of research writing. It's gonna be tough. You're gonna go around in circles. Your supervisor is going to be canceling out elements. It's going to be rough. But when you know what the expectations are, it cuts out your work. And the key expectation is new. If you're writing your thesis, you're doing your academic research work, and you don't know anything about it, you should understand this one word, new. That's the key word throughout your thesis. What is new about your work? When we talk about new, it's not in relation to non-academic work. We are academics, and so we're expecting you to become an academic. And so when we say what is new, we are asking what is new in relation to other academics. So other academics, scholars, researchers have been writing about a particular topic, but they have not written about this particular aspect of whatever topic you are researching. That's the research gap. It implies reading. It implies that actually you start before you start. Because your proposal, especially for your PhD, should contain an idea of direction, an idea of the research gap, and before the course starts, you should have that idea. So it means that you then become familiar with the area of your subject. You know what the leading scholars are saying about this particular area, and all this is explored in what we in the section of your thesis that is the literature review. Now, the literature review, in my view, is not just simply again students just regurgitate known information. They recount the basics of the subject area, which for me is enlightening, especially if it's not in my subject area, but the academic community represented by your examiner is not really interested in the basics of a subject. What the examiner or the academic community is interested in is your analysis of the existing knowledge in the field. So it's expected that as you do your literature review, you are aware of leading writers, leading academics in the field. This is why very often. For thesis writing, yes, we may accept books